What's going on, guys? And this is JBD Podcast. I'm Dakota.
I'm Brady.
And I'm Johnny, and today we're going to talk about chemicals and the effect they have on agricultural business, the community, and most importantly, the environment.
Starting off, we're going to be talking about chemical use in the orchards. Do you guys have any inputs on that subject?
After we talk to Tayden.
After we talk to Tayden, you want to talk to Tayden first?
Yes.
Is that your input?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to
Why don't we, before we talk to Tayden, why don't we put our own input and our own knowledge before we get a professional's point of view? Is that an agreed upon statement?
I mean, what part of the chemicals?
Like, I would say chemicals are necessary to get bugs off and stuff like that.
That is correct.
Well, I mean, it produces the sales because
it produces or increases?
Increases, but it produces more product, therefore increases the sales.
I'm behind that. So do you want to call Tayden right now and see what he has to say?
Yeah, let's see what he's got to say.
Yeah, make sure this.
And his dad, Rick.
And Rick, who's the one who owns the orchard.
Hello.
So.
You're gonna talk to my dad, Brady.
Oh, I know. I need to talk to you first.
We need to talk to you first, Brady.
Tayden.
Tayden, sorry.
Okay, Tayden. So.
No, you're not talking to me at all. You're
Okay, Tayden, stop.
Tayden, we need to talk to you, Don.
Okay, so like we all have our inputs on the chemicals in the orchards, but I want to know what is your
Brady,
personal?
what's up?
It's Rick.
What is your personal?
It's Rick right now. Hi. So.
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? So did Tayden tell you what we were doing?
You said you were doing you just need to ask me some agricultural questions or something.
Yeah, that's basically it. So we need to why, one question we have is why do you use chemicals on in the orchard?
So we use chemicals on the orchard to keep the pests away.
Yeah, that's what we thought. Is there like limitations on what type of chemicals you can use?
There's limitations on how many times you can use it, and there's limitations on what time of the year you can use it.
Oh, really? How many?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how many times can you use it? What are the limitations?
Well, depending on what chemical it is, sometimes it's one and done, and then sometimes you can use a chemical 3 times, but they have to be like 3 weeks apart.
Okay.
But almost every chemical has a PHI, which is a pre-harvest interval, which means you can't spray this chemical right before you harvest. So some of them you can spray it a week before you harvest, some of them you have to wait 3 weeks before you harvest.
Okay. What do you have to say, Johnny?
Okay, so
go ahead.
How do these chemicals affect the fruit?
Did you hear that?
Chemicals actually don't affect the fruit at all. The only thing we worry about as a farmer is the residual that might stay on the fruit, and that's where the pre-harvest interval comes in.
Okay. Yeah.
Because sometimes you'll spray it on there, and depending if it's if it rains or something, then it'll wash it off. But if it doesn't rain, sometimes that residue can stay on there for quite a few days.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is beneficial to keeping the pests away.
What's the difference between growing non-organics and organics?
So growing non-organics, you can use the said chemicals. When you're growing organic, you can only use natural products. That's why a lot of those guys use fish oil. They'll spray with things like thyme extract. They'll spray with garlic. Just whatever is a natural irritant to the pet.
Is that less effective for keeping away pests?
It's 100% less effective. Not only do you have to use more of it, but you have to do it way more often as well.
So that's that. That's why.
And even with that, you still don't get the control you would.
Oh yeah.
Instead of just using a mild pesticide.
So that that's why the organics are more expensive and stuff like that.
That's why organics are more expensive, because they have way more time and product into it than a standard grower.
Okay.
So is the production rate of these inorganics to the organics higher with the inorganics because you're using the chemicals, or are they about the same?
Production is about the same.
Okay.
The only thing that you're doing with organics is you're just trying to control the pests in a different way.
Yeah, it's a lot more work.
Exactly.
Okay. You have anything else?
Not really, no.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. If you have any more questions, just shoot Tate a text or something and let me know. I'm happy to help.
Okay, that
Will
helped
do.
a lot. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
You bet, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.
But
Bye-bye.
Lord.
Johnny, what'd you think about the phone call?
I think we learned a lot of valuable information about how orchards are ran.
Yeah, what, like laws and stuff they have to follow?
Yep.
Did you think it was interesting about how frequently they could spray their trees with chemicals?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting because before I really didn't know. I thought they could just spray them whenever they wanted.
Yeah, I thought they could just spray them all the time, but apparently you can't.
And they can't. I thought they were like, they'd wake up one day and they'd just be like, we need more chemicals in the air. And they'd just spray chemicals, but nope, that's not the case.
What?
It's not the case.
Oh, I was confused with the sniffing.
Because they didn't smell the chemicals in the air. Because pollution!
Pollution. What type of pollution?
Air pollution. Do you think they regulate the usage of chemicals to better like the air quality or to better the quality of the fruit that's produced?
I bet the regulation is for safety of the consumer.
So
Because
which way?
it's limited on, like, they can't spray it. I guess when he said they can't spray it a week before they, like, ship it out, that doesn't have anything to do with the air. I guess maybe the amount of times they can spray it. Because if the chemical does nothing to the apple and they're restricted from spraying it all the time, then I guess that's bad for the environment.
If the chemical like does nothing to the apple, then like why do it, or why do they have a set limit on how much?
How much? Did I not just answer that?
Maybe. Dakota, you got input?
on what? Like what part of we're talking about right now?
So, Johnny asked why is there regulations on how much they can spray the apples?
Because we don't want too much, like we don't want a lot of the chemicals in the air because it's bad. Plus, it's not very healthy to breathe. Like if you watch the guys that spray the stuff, they're in like full suits, so obviously it's not healthy. So we can't just be cranking it into the air every single day because that'd be horrible for us and the environment, like the plants and the animals and stuff. So
Okay, but we'll say that. So the chemicals are bad in the air, but if they're put on the fruit and we eat those chemicals, are they still bad for us?
You
or
don't eat the
we
chemicals.
don't eat the chemicals. It doesn't go into the apple. It's just on the outside.
That would not be good if you ate the chemicals, Johnny.
It just
I know,
protects
but-
the apple.
It protects.
But like
the
there has to be some of it still on it,
That's why you rinse your fruit.
Yeah.
That's why you're told to rinse your fruit.
and that's
They
why.
They also can't spray it like a week before they ship it, or like 3 weeks before they ship it. So we looked up the chemicals that they use. One of them is DDT. And what is DDT? It's 14 carbons, 9 hydrogens, and 5 chlorines. Carbon, bad for the environment. Maybe. Everything's made of carbon.
So this just adds to the ozone layer. So basically, there's nothing that we can do to fix the ozone.
What did you just say?
Well, I mean, we could
You know
move
the
to-
ozone layer is like necessary?
Exactly, but there's holes in it. As
We're
learned
destroying-
in 4th period, Mr. Cabbage's CHS Environmental Science class.
Okay, but we could fix with our issue with the pesticides and the chemicals. We can fix that by moving to more organic
Yeah.
ways.
That makes fruit more expensive.
It may be more expensive, and it may be more expensive to preserve the fruit because you have to use a more natural method, and it may not be as effective, but it will help the environment.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to make the sacrifice of not having fruit as much because
That's not the case
That's not how
at
it
all.
works.
It
'cause
just makes it more expensive.
like Rick said.
Like Rick said.
He said.
But if everybody
Okay, listen,
switches
No,
over,
stop.
Rick said that. Rick said that when you grow it non-organic or organic, the amount of product that is produced is pretty much equal.
So if everything was made organically, it'd just be more work, and therefore it'd be more expensive. Or all the fruit. So if everything,
So would you be willing to make the sacrifice to pay more for your fruit?
Yes, it's not that big of a deal, really.
yeah,
To some people, that is though.
yeah, I mean,
So you think everybody's just gonna crank out an apple tree in their backyard?
no, I don't.
And okay, say you have, because like I know down the street from my house, there's like this guy with like 2 rows of orchards that are like 6 trees total. Do you think he uses pesticides on his trees?
No.
But what if he did? Would he have to follow the same
Yeah.
rules and regulations that Rick
But I
does?
don't think he sells them. If he only has 6 trees, I don't think he sells his apples.
I know, but for himself, does he have to follow the same?
No, because
rules?
it's not commercial.
Yeah, the rules are for commercial growing.
Another common chemical used in agricultural preservation of apples. It's a combination, a chemical compound of lead and 3-oxygen, arsenate, and hydroxide. Do any of those sound polluting? No
All of
sulfur.
those.
No sulfur. Oxygen? Are you serious?
Okay. Well, okay.
No,
hold on.
stop. Let's talk about lead arsenate. Arsenate. There's no CO2 possible, but it'll get oxygen.
It's lead arsenate.
Could mix lead arsenate. Could mix chemical reaction with DDT. Get some carbon dioxide in the air. It's no bueno. Greenhouse gases. So let's talk about solutions to chemicals, pollution from orchards.
I think.
Well, one
personally-
solution is all orchards could be mandated to go organic.
That sounds like a horrible idea. Okay,
That's,
so
I know, that's what I'm saying. Let's talk about the pros and cons of all orchards going.
what was that one thing we
organic.
learned in history last year? I'll make a spin off of it. It's like feudalism or something, where like you take. So there's like 3. If there's like 3
So it's where you
3 fields and
you,
2 of them.
You always leave one empty for a season because for the dirt.
Yes, that's what it was, but that's not what we'll do. We'll have, there has to be a certain like portion of your orchard has to be organics, and it depends like what that portion would be.
But you're still polluting, man. That doesn't get away from the fact that you're using chemicals on your fruit.
But it helps,
Yeah, it helps. It's a start. But
and slowly,
if you slowly switch to organic,
yes, like slowly over time, because it's gonna take
yeah,
people
it's gonna take
people
time.
used to switching to organics.
But the idea is switching to organics. right?
Exactly.
So that would be the cons. Would be it'd be more expensive because organics are more work, a lot more work, as Rick said.
But would those farmers make their money back because they don't have to purchase the chemicals?
You want to see how expensive the chemicals are?
Yes.
I looked it up. DDT is only $1.44 per year to spray one house. They spray houses with
They
DDT.
spray houses with orchard chemicals. Now that's a whole nother twist that could get me heated.
The more toxic substitute costs as much as 10 to 20 times more. So DDT is used on things other than apples. What do you think about that?
That means like, why would we have to switch to organics when it's just gonna keep, like the chemicals are gonna keep being in the
Well,
system?
Wait, okay, can you say that again?
Like, why would we have to switch to organics if the chemicals are gonna keep being used in other things?
Well, that's not our problem. We're talking about orchard pollution, not house pollution.
But air
Okay.
surrounds the universe.
Okay, it's not necessary. Okay, anyways. Interesting that DDT is used on the house.
Oh, so it helps, it protects the paint.
Yeah, it protects the paint. So what do you think about that? They spray this stuff on houses that they use on apples.
I mean, it makes sense, and it's gonna come off over time from wearing and that stuff.
It washes off pretty good.
So, and it helps protect like the outer portion of the house. So I mean, it makes sense to use it on houses.
Yeah. It's also like relatively cheap. It's $1.44 to spray a house. Or 1 sec.
Well, how much? Yeah, shouldn't it be in like?
It's $1.44 per year to spray one house. To spray one house. So like house to orchard ratio, that seems pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're spraying a lot more stuff with the orchard, but still, it seems like it'd be a lot cheaper. Especially since you're paying for less labor. But the question is the price worth the eventual failure of Earth?
Well,
right now it seems like no, but
because there's so many other factors
I know.
into like the pollution that are way higher factors than these chemicals and the pesticides affecting the environment. So I mean, for ours, yes, it's adding to it, but there are other things that we should be focusing on as a
We should be focusing on more.
yeah.
And I bet transporting the apples and other fruit from the orchard is a lot more environmentally damaging than spraying the chemicals. Would you agree with that?
Yes, because
The
carbon
truck.
emissions coming from the trucks is
Yeah.
definitely.
So how do you combat that?
Well, we have to transport them, and there's no
Yeah.
way. At this point in time, there's no way for us to not transport them in any way we transport it, whether it's like by plane or any of that. It will have an effect on the environment, and we can't just bike them or walk them.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have to use a vehicle, which will harm the environment. But at this point, we have no other way to transport.
So I guess eventually it'd just be over time. Eventually there'll be an electric semi truck. Eco-friendly vehicles to transport the apples. So it's just a waiting game.
Okay, boys, that is it for this week's podcast. We'll see you next week when we talk about something we don't know about yet. But as of right now, that's all we got for you. Thank you.
Let's go.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. Peace out.
Peace.